Hello and welcome to the Newcomers Fair, the event which is a part of Translating Europe Forum, one of the world's biggest language industry conferences. I am Oleksandr Bondarenko and this is my 11th TEF, so as you guess I'm a great fan of it. And I strongly recommend to attend it, if not in person then at least online. No matter whether you're a newcomer or experienced linguist, you'll find the content that will help you to grow professionally. Today, I'll speak about skills that you need to thrive in the modern language industry. But first, a couple of words about myself. So, I am a CEO of translation and localization company from Ukraine named translators. It's one of the oldest companies in the country with 26 years at the market. So, for over 20 years, I'm head of translators, and exactly the same period of time, I've been also a part of academic world, lecturing at local university in Ukraine named Central Ukrainian State University. So, as I'm used to say, wearing the two hats, industrial and academic, I sometimes see clearer what the graduates need at the beginning of their career, even better than solely industrial or academic representatives. Yet, I want to highlight at the very beginning that during my presentation, I'll be mostly wearing my industrial hat, since this approach will help you better understand what industry will want from you when you join us in a while. Besides my academic and industrial background, I'm also a member of the European Commission Language Industry Expert Group. And I'm also a part of National Agency for Higher Education Quality Assurance in Ukraine. So this is a body that accredits the university programs in my country. And now a quick look at the agenda. So at the beginning, I'll speak about industry profiles and key skill sets. Next, I'll share some ideas from my recent industry research on the impact of machine translation and professional practice, which is also highly relevant to the profiles I'll be talking about. After that, we'll dive into the future of the industry, a topic I'm sure you'll find very interesting. Then I'll touch the top challenges for the newcomers, different aspects of them, technology, service provision, hard skills and soft skills, and some other challenges. And at the end, I'll speak about internship, a powerful instrument that students and graduates should be able to use right. So, from the very beginning, I'd like to mention that I'll be taking a specific approach to looking at the industry profiles and skill sets. As someone with experience in the industry, I'll focus on the key skills and abilities that beginners often struggle with. So I'll be rather discussing the most essential skills and common weaknesses of the newcomers, not as a scholar, but as industry representative. And the first skill set that I'd like to discuss and the profile is translators, no wonder. And the first item is ability to produce an accurate target text. Translator is a role that can be defined as a target text generator. Maybe the specialists in didactics would call it differently with more detail, but I'm here to tell you about the industrial approach as I mentioned. And as industry representative, I can generalize the essence of translator's role as target text generator. Remember this, we'll get back to this point later. Domain competence for meaningful translation. At the beginning of each course that I teach at my university, I tell my students that a translator's first commandment is not to translate if you don't understand. And to understand what you translate, you need a background, so you need to know the subject field. It's essential. Next, research information acquisition skills. This skill is deeply connected with the previous competence, which is domain knowledge, since the subject field are developing so rapidly that even if you're an expert in a domain and you have a diploma, you simply are not able to know everything. Yet, if you know the domain and have good research skills, you'll know where to find the additional info to be able to translate accurately. And finally, ability to justify translation choices. So, linguists are not lawyers, of course. Yet they are professionals, and professionals must be able to explain their translation choices first of all to themselves and then to the client if the client asks. In simple terms, a professional should always have a clear reason for translating in a certain way and avoid making random choices for taking shortcuts or taking short works, of course. So the next profile I'd like to speak about is reviser. The main job of a reviser is to check the translation against the source text to confirm if target matches the source, or, if needed, correct it. Corrections should focus only on real mistakes, not personal preferences, using as little time and effort as possible, ideally without rewriting the whole sentence or even a part of it. So this is the essence of the reviser's role. So what I wanted to show you in the last 3 slides is that translation and revision are quite different jobs, each with its own skill set and profiles. Having worked in both roles, I have seen that they require different training. That's why in my company, we train translators and revisers separately. Yet in the European linguistics tradition, they view these 2 roles as interchangeable ones. Well, for a long period of time, I wanted to figure out why is it so. And finally, one day, I studied ISO 17100, which I respect very much. And actually, my company is also ISO 17100 certified. Yet, in this ISO, I found literally the following. Reviser have all their translation competence defined in some chapter, the qualification defined in another chapter, and translation or revision experience in the domain under consideration. In other words, we can interpret it as reviser is an experienced translator, which obviously leads to the discrepancy, since in reality, as you can already know, translator and target text generator, and reviser is target against source text comparer. So different roles that have different skill sets require different training. Due to this discrepancy, there are many inefficient revisers in our industry. So experienced translator with their translator's background look at the revision with the skill set of a translator, who is the target text generator. But for revision, all they need is the skill set and the profile of a true mistakes finder and efficient mistakes corrector, which is completely a different profile. One more point to mention is knowledge of error typology and QA models, quality assurance models like LISAR and TAUS DQF and so on. So in the language industry, we use a detailed list of translation error types. So I call it error typology, called the QA model, which includes description of mistakes and their severity. Professional revisers follow the following approach. If they find an issue that fits a specific error type and subtype in the QA model, for example, accuracy type of error and subtype incorrect meaning, then they correct it. If they can't identify it as an error, I mean the type of the error, they don't make changes because it's not considered as a mistake. It's most likely just a personal preference and it shouldn't be left as is. So the next profile and skill set that I'd like to take is the post-editor's one, no wonder. Post-editor is a new and very popular role that emerged actually not so long ago. Now, with the 2 previous roles at the background, we can easily define this new role. And which of the 2 discussed roles do you think is closer to post-editor? Well, definitely the revisers. Technically, a post-editor does exactly the same job as the reviser, with the only difference that she or he does it after the machine. And machine is a more predictable translator than a human being. So a post-editor, unlike reviser, can be sure that machine will never make a mistake in numbers, very seldom in spelling, and other formal things. So post-editor, totally the same as the reviser, has to put minimum effort when correcting true mistakes, without overwriting the parts of the sentence that are not mistakes. Understanding common machine translation errors. At the same time, as the machine is a more predictable than human being, a post-editor should also be able to predict where a machine can and most likely will do the mistakes. This usually happens in style, with unnatural structure of the sentence. So this is what a post-editor should pay attention to do first of all. to style and the structure of the sentence. Efficient use of machine translation, 5-second rule. So this rule is actually a bit out of date, but for beginners, I think it will be still useful. It was created when machine translation wasn't as accurate as it is now. So with the idea, make the most of machine translation, a post editor shouldn't get stuck on every sentence machine translation suggests. Instead, they should quickly decide if the machine translation output is usable, and even if it's not fully usable, he or she should see if any part of it can still be helpful. So the idea of the 5-second rule is that within 5 seconds, you should decide how to handle a machine translation. Positive attitude towards machine translation. I don't think I need to speak much here. If you see machine translation as a competitor that is taking your job, you'll never fully benefit from using machine translation. Yes, machine translation, AI in general, is an instrument. Of course, it's a more powerful instrument than any that we had before, but still, you are still the doer. You do with the help of AI or any other instrument. This is the right approach. Key distinction from the reviser. So, as you see, reviser and post editor are very close roles with major difference in greater predictability of machine translation output. So, and now I want to present the results of the research that I conducted in Ukraine a year ago. It involved 27 industry representatives from 27 language companies and over 150 academic representatives. Here I'll focus only on the industry results of the research, and I should mention that I usually do these studies to show academia that their perspective on some professional aspects doesn't align with industry needs. So one clear finding that you can see on this slide shows significant shortage of post editors, a trend which is true in Europe as well, in the rest of the Europe. So my first question to industry representative was, is there a great shortage of post editing specialists compared to translators, traditional translators? The response was quite strong, as you can see. So yes was said by 92% of the respondents. And I guess across the rest of the Europe, the answer would be also positive, but with some 70 to 80% in Western Europe, while in Eastern one, it should be about 90, I guess. So the next question to the industry was, how satisfied are you with how well your linguists can post edit? And by your linguists, I mean the in-house or freelance staff that the company works with. As you see, about a quarter of industry are satisfied, about the same number are dissatisfied, and about a half, 50%, feel neutral, not too good and not too bad. This state of thing is similar across the whole Europe, I should say. Next question was, how satisfied are you with how well graduates from universities can post edit? So this is why I showed the previous slide, to see how satisfied companies are with graduates post editing work compared to the experienced linguists. And as you can see, the industry is generally less satisfied with graduates than with experienced professionals, which is surprising since post editors is a new skill to both cohorts of industry representatives. In theory, it should be even easier for newcomers to learn post-editing than for experienced translators, since translators focus on generating target text rather than just correcting it. Post-editing could be a niche where graduates could have an advantage over more experienced translators because it doesn't require the same background in translation. An experienced translator, whether revising or post-editing, often tends to rewrite rather than simply check and correct genuine errors. Of course, I am simplifying the whole thing a bit. Translation skills still include the knowledge of the field, research, and other abilities. However, it's true that beginners might find it easier to compare first than experienced translator in post-editing. So it could be an advantage for them. This is where they still could compete with translators. The next question was, what linguistic experience, translating or revising, is more crucial for graduates to post-edit effectively? So as you can see, this slide supports what I mentioned about revision and post-editing before. Revision, which involves checking the target text against the source one and correcting only real mistakes, is much more similar to post-editing than to translation, where the focus is on generating the target text. Well, so the next question was, do you train your linguists in post-editing? And here, as you see, 26% of the respondents said that they provide brief instructions, 53%, more than half, do not train at all, and only 21% trains only regular employees. So in our industry, as you know, about 80% of all linguists are freelancers, and freelancers are often paid more also because, than in-house linguists, also because they continuously invest to their professional development. So for you as beginners, this slide most likely highlights that if you don't learn post-editing at university, you'll need to pick up the skill on your own when you're already part of the industry. So the next question was, what's the approximate ratio of translation orders to post-editing orders in your company? And the overall answer was from 20 to 30%. This information is less relevant to the rest of the Europe because most European language pairs in machine translation are more efficient than English-Ukrainian one, due to the larger training data for machine translation engines. So the amount of machine translation post-editing is generally higher in the rest of the Europe than in Ukraine, but we'll soon discuss the future of the profession and see the ELIS statistics shortly. And ELIS stands for European Language Industry Survey, as you know. So now about the future of the profession. So as you can see, despite the overall short-term stagnation in the industry that we are experiencing now, post-editing is the most rapidly developing type of the service. Even this year, as you can see from the diagram, they expect the volume of the service a bit less than 40% of the market. This is what ELIS diagram shows. This is the ELIS research, European Language Industry Survey. So only human translation can beat post-editing this year with about 50% of the market. But if you are joining the industry in a year or two, I would dare predicting that these two services will twist, interchanging each other. So in 2 or 3 years, post-editing will prevail. This is a short-term perspective. So future outlook, and this is another metaphor that I'd like to give you. 2000 years ago, translators used stick and clay tablets as instruments. 200 years ago, it was further and ink as the main translator's instrument. 20 years ago, we had CAD tools, computers, electronic dictionaries, and now AI is becoming the main tool. So on the one hand, these are just tools, and the profession remains the same. But these tools are also change what profession involves. So this is what I'm used to tell my students. When your kids someday come to you and say, look, I translated something, they'll probably mean they copy-pasted, clicks a few buttons and checked if the AI got it right, even without needing to correct anything themselves. Midterm perspective. So here is another metaphor. I used to show the midterm outlook. Hands on the wheel. Any ideas what hands on the wheel mean? Well, think about the active control systems in modern cars. They can often drive better than a human, watching the road more closely than a human, avoiding blind spots much more effectively than a human, and reacting much, much faster than a human being can react. But even with all that, they still need the driver's hands on the wheel. At least this is what our laws require. And I think this is exactly how the profession might look in the nearest future. Linguists keeping their hands on the AI wheel. Well, now long-term outlook. So even when AI becomes nearly flawless, there will be still a significant time when linguists will, if not actively control an AI with their hands on the wheel, but they will at least still be sitting in the cars as passive controllers. So their role will be to ensure quality, acting as responsibility holders, to verify that AI is doing their job right, correctly. So until the point of singularity, when computers can upgrade and improve themselves without human input, will still have a role in the industry. When exactly singularity will happen, no one knows. As predictions are based globally on gradual and evolutionary technology development, while true breakthroughs are often sudden, revolutionary, and are hard to predict. So, top challenges. Well, I came to know that some colleagues of mine will speak about service provision and technological competences separately. So I'd rather than touch the most essential things, the most important what I wanted to say. And speaking about technology, well, here I would probably touch understanding tool types rather than the specific apps. So by this, I wanted to say that all you need is understanding the logics of every tool type. By tool type, I mean translation management system, CAT tool, QA tools, and some other. So since you'll never be able to learn and master all the tools because there are too many of them, yet knowing the logics, the idea how they work, you'll always be able to master the detail of every tool when you need, within minutes, even not hours, minutes. Navigating the second technological revolution. Well, for me, AI revolution is actually the second big shift in the industry. The first one happened over 20 years ago with the introduction of CAT tools. And although AI is of course different from the CAT tool, the value was the same about the technology, replacing translators and taking our jobs. But the truth is that we can't stop technological progress. It's like big train leaving the station. You have two choices. You jump on board or you stay behind. Yes, progress of course brings a lot of challenges, but this will be sorted out in future as it was sorted out with the CAT tools. Paying for fuzzy matches, for 100% matches, it was also an issue first, but then it was fixed. So the only real choice that you have is to join in or to find a niche on the side. And we'll talk about it, about the niches in a while. So top challenges, service provision. On this slide, you can see the main challenges beginners face in providing services, and I want to highlight one area: understanding clients' expectations, objectives, and goals. So, not every client will sign a detailed agreement and send complete instructions for a project. So, if the instructions are unclear or incomplete, write down the missing detail yourself and ask the client to confirm that you got it right. This can save you from misunderstanding later on. You won't even believe how often this approach has saved me from situations where clients claim they meant something else, something different at the end of the project. Another point to note is about translation quality. Good enough, fit for purpose. So in the language industry, quality doesn't mean 0 mistakes per 1,000 words. It's about meeting the level of accuracy that your client expects. Also remember that quality isn't just about accurate translation. It's also about on-time project delivery, quick email responses, and handling additional client requests professionally. So now about hard and soft skills. Well, soft skills are definitely important. But remember to prioritize, which is often overlooked in academia, especially in Ukrainian institutions. This is, I know for sure. So the priority is simple. Focus first on the most essential part of your professional profile. It's hard skills, of course. Once you are confident in your hard skills, then add soft skills to strengthen your profile. But always in this order, hard skills first. So if you had to choose a doctor, would you prefer one who is excellent communicator with great soft skills, or one who knows the best way to cure you? I think the answer is obvious. Well, now I'd like to say a couple of words about internship. So, as I already mentioned, internship is a key tool to start your career. It's a very powerful instrument. If your institution, if your university allows you to choose the place for internship yourself, then I would strongly recommend to choose it yourself. And here are signs for you of the company that would provide an effective and good internship. So first, internship program available. So if the company has an internship program, then every day you will know what will be today, tomorrow, in a week, and in a month. So everything is planned, all materials are ready, and all is in order. It's very important. This is actually one of the most efficient ways of arranging internship. Entrance and final tests. This is also a very important thing, since you as an intern will feel your progress much more efficiently. If the tests are of the same strength and you have almost similar tests at the beginning and at the end, you will feel your progress, and it's very motivating. Regular feedback. Well, internships can be paid or unpaid. It depends on many aspects, but what you surely should be paid is your regular feedback. And during the internship, it's probably even more important than your fees. So regular feedback is a sign of a good internship. Opportunity for post-internship employment. Of course, here I don't mean that you necessarily should live within the company that you are having an internship with. Of course not. But if the company is presupposing that there is a chance that they will leave you after the internship, then they will be taking internship more responsibly. So they will understand that they might be training their future employee. So this is also important. A designated internship supervisor on site. So since I've been specializing in internship for about 20 years, and I've been developing the internship program in my company, we have concluded that there should be a supervisor, not the mentor, not the one that will work with you and teach you the skills, but the one who will track you, who will see what you should do today, in a week, in a month, and what the outcome should be. So a supervisor is also a very important and useful thing in the company that conducts internship. Okay, thriving in your career. So let's try to conclude now what you need to thrive in your career. So obviously, as you already understand, you have to learn post-editing. Yet, if for some reason post-editing is not close to your heart, then another bit of advice that I would give you is to find a refuge. So find a niche if you, for some reason, do not take, at least now, post-editing. And on the slide, you see the examples of such niches. It's marketing, transcreation, literary translation. These are the niches that they don't use machine translation so far. But at the same time, you should remember that legal and medical translation were also used to be the niches where they didn't practice machine translation recently. But now, as you may know, they actively practice machine translation in these niches. So keep in mind that the niches are not forever. So they can also change. So another tip is to choose domain that resonates with your passions. This is actually the question that my students pretty often ask me, what domain to choose? And they ask about the domain which are the most or the best paid. And here, when I answer them, the recommendation is the following. There should be a balance between paying well getting money enough for what you're doing, and something that is close to your heart. If you choose the well-paid domain that you don't love, it means that you will be dealing with this text until your pension, since actually this is the marriage for years. So choose the domains that resonate with your passion. Professional experience. So as you may already know, industry values experience. So by the time that you join the industry, I would strongly recommend you to have as much experience as possible. You can start with the internship, choosing the best place for the internship, the way I recommend it. Then you might have a bit of volunteering, which is also very good for your CV. And ideally, by the time that you graduate from your university, you should already have also a bit of freelance experience. So if you have all these, you will have advantages over other graduates that don't have this experience. This is very important. Well, so this is globally everything I wanted to share with you today. And as you all step up to your career, remember to trust yourselves and the skills that you've built. So of course there will be challenges, no doubt, but you've got what it takes to handle them. So keep learning, stay adaptable, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. This is actually where the real growth happens. So go out there and show the world what you're made of. Good luck.